You know that perfect facade families put on social media? Well, I'm about to take you behind the scenes of one that was hiding a shocking secret. My sister-in-law's world was turned upside down when she discovered her husband had a child with another woman. And it wasn't just any other woman. My sister-in-law, Rachel, was the epitome of perfection. She had the picture-perfect family, a handsome husband, two adorable kids, and a beautiful home in the suburbs. To outsiders, they seemed like the ultimate happy family. My brother and I were close, and we'd often joke about how Rachel's cooking was the best in town. But what people didn't see was the facade she had created. It's funny how some conversations stick with you long after they're over. I remember a particular chat I had with my sister-in-law, Emily, about 6 months before everything came crashing down. We were at the park, watching our kids play together on a sunny afternoon. The atmosphere was casual, just a relaxed conversation between friends. But something caught my attention. She mentioned her husband's name in passing, and for a split second she hesitated before saying it. It was almost imperceptible, but I remember thinking to myself, is everything okay? We chatted about normal stuff, our kids' schedules, upcoming events, but that one moment lingered with me. I brushed it off as paranoia, thinking maybe I was just being too sensitive. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it would grow into a full-blown realization soon enough. I'll never forget the day I stumbled upon that disturbing email on my brother's phone. We were at our family gathering, celebrating my niece's birthday, when he excused himself to take a call. As he stepped away, I couldn't resist the urge to grab his phone from the table. It was an impulsive move, one I'd later regret. But something about that moment felt off, and I needed to know what it was. I scrolled through his messages, my heart sinking as I realized something was off. The email was cryptic, but the name mentioned in the message sent a chill down my spine. Emily. My brother's eyes had always lit up when he talked about his friends, but this one, there was something different about Emily. I couldn't shake off the feeling that this was more than just a casual mention. As I looked at my sister-in-law's innocent smile, I couldn't help but think about the countless times she'd brushed off my questions about Emily. Just a friend from work, she'd say, or we met online. But there was always this hesitation, like she was hiding something behind her eyes. And then there were the denials from my brother. He'd get defensive, even angry, whenever I brought it up. "You're just being paranoid," he'd say. "What are you insinuating?" It was like they were living two separate lives, and Emily was a part of one of them that neither of them wanted to acknowledge. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about Emily. There was something deeper going on here. A secret so big, so life-altering, that my sister-in-law couldn't even bring herself to look me in the eye when she lied. And my brother, he was complicit in all of it. I knew they were hiding something, but what? The more I dug, the more I uncovered a web of deceit and betrayal that would change everything forever. As I dug deeper into my sister-in-law's past, I stumbled upon a disturbing discovery that left me speechless. It was something she had kept hidden from everyone for years, including her own family. The more I uncovered, the more I realized it wasn't just a coincidence. It was all connected. I'll never forget the day I stumbled upon the email on my brother's computer. My sister-in-law, Sarah, had always been a bit of a mystery to me. She was friendly, but distant, always seeming to keep secrets that only she knew. And then, there it was. An exchange between her and someone else, mentioning we in the context of raising a child. My heart started racing as I read on, my mind reeling with questions. Who was this person? Why wasn't Sarah telling me about another family member? The more I dug, the more pieces fell into place. I remembered Sarah's frequent trips out of town, her sudden disappearances during holidays, and the way she'd always seemed to be taking care of someone when asked about it. It was as if she was hiding in plain sight and I had been oblivious to it all. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My brother's marriage was built on lies, and our entire family was entangled in this web of deceit. As I dug deeper, I discovered that my sister-in-law was not only aware of her husband's secret child, but had also been involved in keeping the truth hidden from me and the rest of the family. She'd help him come up with excuses for his frequent absences, and even went so far as to create a fake alibi for his online activities. I couldn't believe what I was learning about the people I loved. How could my brother's wife be complicit in this deceit? The more I uncovered, the more I realized that my sister-in-law had her own reasons for keeping quiet. She'd been threatened with financial ruin if she ever spoke out or left him. The weight of her secrets was crushing her, but she didn't dare escape. And so, the family's web of lies continued to grow, ensnaring us all in its tangled threads. I remember the day I found out about my sister-in-law's secret baby like it was yesterday. I was torn between loyalty to my brother and his wife, who had always been kind to me. But as more truth came out, I knew I had to take a stand. I would see her smiling in the grocery store, surrounded by her little ones, and I'd feel a pang of guilt for being part of this family's web of lies. I'd catch glimpses of her Instagram posts, showcasing perfect motherhood moments, and wonder how she was managing it all while keeping such a massive secret from us. I'll never forget the day I found out the truth about my brother's secret family. It was like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless and stunned. We'd always thought his wife was just a bit distant, but we had no idea what she was hiding. As it turned out, she wasn't just managing our household, she was also raising another child on her own, a child my brother had fathered in secret. As the truth sank in, I watched my sister-in-law's demeanor change before our eyes. What had started as a fierce anger towards my brother began to give way to a deep sadness. She would often break down in tears, not just about her husband's infidelity, but also about the fact that he'd kept this secret from her for so long. As the truth about her husband's secret child began to sink in, our family's dynamics started to shift. We were no longer the same people we thought we were. The guilt and shame that hung over us like a dark cloud created tension at every gathering. My sister-in-law would often be absent, unable to face the reality of what had been hidden from her for so long. I remember one Christmas dinner where she barely made an appearance, and when she did, it was clear that she'd rather be anywhere else. I still remember the day my brother found out about his sister-in-law's secret baby. He was livid, refusing to believe that she could keep something so monumental from him. He accused her of being selfish, of breaking their trust. I tried to reason with him, but he just wouldn't listen. As the days went by, my brother became more and more withdrawn. He stopped coming over for family gatherings, stopped participating in our weekly phone calls. My sister-in-law would try to reach out to him, but he'd shut her down every time. I could see the pain in his eyes, the weight of betrayal bearing down on him. It was like watching a person slowly unravel. He lost interest in his favorite hobbies, stopped playing music with our friends. Even our parents were concerned, wondering if they'd lost their son to anger and resentment. And then, it hit him. He lost me too. I couldn't bear to see him so broken, so consumed by rage. I had to take a step back, for my own sanity's sake. As I reflect on the journey my sister-in-law took to heal from this betrayal, one thing stands out. She found strength in the darkest moment. It's a testament to her resilience that she was able to rise above the pain and find a way forward. At first, it seemed like everything was crumbling around her. Her marriage, her family dynamics, even her sense of identity were all shaken to their core. She began to question everything, her own worth, her partner's love, even her own sanity. But as she navigated this dark landscape, something shifted within her. She started to see that her worth wasn't tied to her relationship or her partner's actions. It was a hard-won realization, but one that gave her the courage to keep going. She began to rebuild slowly at first, but with growing determination. She started seeing a therapist, reconnecting with old friends, and finding new hobbies that brought her joy. And as she did, I saw her transform before my eyes, from a broken woman to a strong, determined individual. I thought I was doing the right thing by keeping my sister-in-law's secret safe, but the weight of those secrets slowly suffocated me. The guilt would creep in at night like a thief, stealing my peace of mind. I'd lie awake, replaying conversations, and wondering if I should have spoken up sooner. And then there was the anger. It simmered just below the surface, ready to boil over at any moment. I felt trapped between loyalty to my husband's family and my own moral compass. We never thought our family would survive the revelation of my sister-in-law's secret baby. But as we navigated the aftermath, something unexpected happened. We grew stronger. At first, the tension was palpable. My husband's family struggled to accept this new addition, while I grappled with feelings of betrayal and anger towards my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law would often reach out to me, seeking advice on how to balance her two families. I'd try to offer words of encouragement, but it felt like a lie. How could she expect me to be supportive when I was still trying to process the shock? But as time passed, we all began to adapt. We learned to include my sister-in-law's child in family gatherings, and slowly, our bond grew. My sister-in-law's presence at family events became less about secrets and more about shared laughter. It wasn't always easy, but we discovered that even in the darkest moments there can be growth. A reminder that relationships are complex and multifaceted. As I look back on my sister-in-law's secret baby, I'm reminded that even the most seemingly perfect families can harbor secrets. We may think we know our loved ones, but the truth is, there's often more beneath the surface than meets the eye. My sister-in-law's story taught me a valuable lesson, that deception and dishonesty can seep into relationships in subtle ways. The facade of perfection can be just that, a carefully crafted illusion. I remember the day my brother finally confronted his wife about her secret child. The pain and shock on their faces was palpable, but it also marked the beginning of a long journey towards healing and growth. That experience showed me that relationships are not always as they seem. We often focus on the surface-level issues, ignoring the underlying dynamics that can lead to secrets and lies. But by acknowledging these complexities, we can begin to build stronger, more authentic connections with our loved ones. And for my sister-in-law, facing the truth about her husband's infidelity was a turning point in their marriage, one that ultimately led them down a path of healing and forgiveness. As the truth began to unravel, my sister-in-law's eyes revealed a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and ultimately, a sense of betrayal. She had always known that her brother was distant, but she never suspected this level of deception. The pain of discovery cut deep, like a fresh wound that refused to heal. But as the days went by, something remarkable happened. With each passing conversation, my sister-in-law's demeanor shifted from hurt to relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, and she could finally breathe again. She began to see her brother not as a liar, but as a human being who made mistakes, flaws that made him more relatable, more vulnerable. The truth, painful as it was, became a liberating force in their relationship. It allowed them to confront the past, to apologize, and to start anew. And for my sister-in-law, this newfound understanding marked a turning point in her marriage, one that ultimately led them down a path of healing and forgiveness. As I reflect on the struggles my sister-in-law faced in her marriage, it's clear that trust was a constant battle. Trust must be earned and maintained, not assumed or taken for granted. I remember when she first confided in me about her husband's infidelity. She said, "I felt like I was living with a stranger." The pain of betrayal cuts deep, but the aftermath is just as crucial. If trust isn't rebuilt, it can be irreparably damaged. As the family dynamics continue to unravel, one thing becomes painfully clear. Secrets have a way of eating away at relationships from the inside out. My sister-in-law's secret baby was just the tip of the iceberg, but it served as a stark reminder that honesty and transparency are non-negotiables when it comes to family ties. As I look back on the chaos that unfolded, I'm still trying to process how my sister-in-law's secret baby affected the kids in our family. They were already dealing with their parents' tumultuous marriage, and then this bombshell dropped. The youngest son would often come home from school, tears streaming down his face, because he felt like he was being kept in the dark about something so important. As I look back on my sister-in-law's situation, I'm reminded that communication is key in any relationship. But it's not just about having open conversations, it's also a muscle that must be exercised regularly. If you don't make time to talk to your partner or family members, the walls will start to build up. And before you know it, secrets are being kept and relationships are suffering. I remember my sister-in-law telling me how she would often try to bring up sensitive topics with her husband, but he would shut her down, making her feel like she was overreacting or being too needy. She thought she was doing the right thing by giving him space, but in reality, she was just enabling his avoidance of confrontation. As a result, my sister-in-law felt isolated and alone, carrying this secret baby around with her for years without anyone to turn to. If only they had made communication a priority from the start, maybe things would have been different. Maybe they wouldn't have ended up in this situation. But now, it's not just about fixing their relationship. It's about healing and moving forward. As we navigated the aftermath of my brother's infidelity, I began to realize that healing wasn't just about forgiving him or fixing their relationship. It was about finding myself in all this chaos. My sister-in-law had been hiding a secret for years. She'd given birth to his child, but he'd never acknowledged them as his own. The weight of her burden was crushing her. As we reflect on my sister-in-law's journey, it's clear that the legacy of secrets and betrayal can be a destructive force in relationships. The pain and anguish she endured was not just hers alone, but also her family's. Her husband's secret family had been hidden for so long, it seemed like an insurmountable task to uncover the truth. But as we've seen, honesty is the first step towards healing. It's a painful process, but one that ultimately sets us free from the weight of secrets and lies. My sister-in-law's experience serves as a stark reminder that relationships are built on trust, communication, and mutual respect. As I look back on this journey, I'm reminded of my own marriage, where we've worked hard to maintain open and honest communication. It's not always easy, but it's the foundation upon which our relationship is built. If there's one takeaway from my sister-in-law's story, it's that relationships are worth fighting for, even in the darkest of times. As I sit here, reflecting on my sister-in-law's journey, I'm reminded that relationships are never truly perfect. But it's how we choose to navigate the imperfections that defines us. My sister-in-law's story is a testament to the human spirit, its capacity for love, forgiveness, and growth. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there's always hope for redemption and a second chance. If you've been through something similar, or if you're just looking for inspiration, please know that you're not alone. And if you want to stay up to date on more heart-wrenching, yet ultimately uplifting stories like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel.